Yo, what's going on, metalheads? It's your boy Hoppy, and I'm back with another episode of, you guessed it, Mouthful of Metal, music and history podcast. How's everyone doing today? Happy Friday in this sweltering heat that we are facing here in the lovely Garden State. I'm doing things a little bit differently today. I am not in my studio. I am actually in my house pub. The missus is occupying the other part of the house, and I didn't want to distract her, so here I am doing it this way. So we said we get to some news before we kick into anything else. So let's see here what we got going on in the news world here. Gary Rothenstein's wife had given the band Leonard Skinner her blessings to continue on after his death. Now, to my understanding, they were supposed to be calling it quits because now there's really no founding original members left in the band, except for I can't think of the one drummer's name, but he hasn't been in the band for at least 20 years. But other than that, as far as the band that actually played, the stage band that plays and produces and makes out, there is no original members. I was under the impression that they were going to be hanging it up, but I guess they aren't now. So it sounds like they're going to possibly be continuing. Kind of falling into that same category with these bands that go on these farewell tours and last for 20 years. Whatever, it is what it is. Jeff Pilson and George Lynch are announcing Heavy Hitters 2. I really wasn't impressed with the first one, I got to be honest, and I'm a big Lynch and Pilson fan. I mean, you know, I've worked with these guys. I've bought all their albums. I know that I have their whole catalog. It just was odd, some of the songs that they picked to play and put on the album. So we'll see what this one brings. You know, hey, everybody deserves a second shot. So Phil Lynott, photo book is coming out in November. He's the lead singer and bass player from Thin Lizzy. Great front man. It's a shame he's no longer with us. But looking forward to seeing that when it comes out. So we'll be checking in with that, and I will make sure to give you a full report on that. Now, this is pretty cool. Dog Eat Dog announces full-length album. I seen them at a Warped Tour at Asbury Park, and they're awesome. What can I say? You know, I think that's great. Still carrying on the torch. The Eagles' founding bass player Randy Melsner, dead at 77. It's a shame. I always thought Timothy B. Schmidt was the original player, and then I went and did my homework and found out that no, Randy was the actual original player. It kind of looked alike to me. It's just like Timothy had longer hair. But anyway, it's a shame, you know, another founding member. But, you know, between him and Glenn Frey, I think that whole band, when they were when everybody was together, they really wrote some great music, the Eagles. And of course, you had Joe Walsh in the band. So how could you go wrong with him, you know? I mean, he's a legacy in his own words, so in his own self. Let's see. Scotty Ian thanked the Los Angeles County Fire Department for saving his home. Evidently, the wildfires that are burning out there almost compromised his estate. Now, for those of you who probably know or don't know, a lot of musicians have left California because of the homelessness, the poverty out there. It's just getting too hot to live out there. So a lot of them are either going to Nashville or they're going to Las Vegas. Like Steve Stevens used to live in California, now he lives in Vegas. Billy Idol, same thing, lived in Cali, now lives in Vegas. But a lot of bands have flocked to Nashville. That's kind of like the new Los Angeles. Been to Nashville one time. I'd like to give it another shot, but it just, I don't know, it didn't do anything for me, you know. I just couldn't see myself with the whole 10-gallon hat thing, but whatever, to each his own. So let's see what else we got here in the music news. Five Finger Death Punch receives Key to the City in Wyoming, where they're from. Who would have thought? But hey, you know what? It's cool to see rockers get recognized for stuff like that. I think that's really cool. So, horns up to you guys. What else we got here? Let's see. Looks to be about it. Ex-Iron Maiden Blaze Bayley finds new lease on life after heart attack. I'm incredibly lucky. 2 albums with Maiden. That was it. I had them both, the X Factor and Virtual 9, I think it was. X Factor wasn't bad. It really wasn't the Iron Maiden sound that we all know and love. Like if you were to listen to Somewhere in Time, Power Slave, Tail Gunner, No Prayer for the Dying. Tail Gunner is a great song. That's why I said that. Yeah, he wasn't bad, but it's just like, I mean, if you couldn't get yourself or reestablish yourself after Maiden, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think these guys, they just kind of like, they hit the dirt and that's it. So, well, I'm glad he's okay. That's the important thing. He survived and he's all right. And, hopefully he gets himself back up to full speed again. Let's see. For me, I got Pantera, the tribute show. Me and my boy Stoner Fletch and our ladies are going to that. And my boy Brian and his wife Nikki. This is going to be, for me, monumental. I know there's a lot of mixed emotions out there for people that feel that this should have never happened. A lot of people say that the Abbott brothers would have been against it. I don't think Dime would have been against it as much as Vinny was, because Vinny was very bitter towards the end of his life, unfortunately. He was very negative and he didn't want anything to do with it, which kind of led me to believe that Vinny really was the guy behind the scenes with Pantera. He was the one that kind of made things happen. Like he was the decision maker. I think like if they had an idea or Dime had an idea, he would bounce it off of him and Vinny be like, yeah, that's cool, bro, whatever. Or he'd be like, nah, fuck that. He just gave me that impression. But to talk about Pantera, I was talking with some friends of mine. Unless you've been in the business like I've been in the business, when these guys were in their prime back in the day, now I can tell you Dokken were notorious for hotel parties. Like they would congregate in 2 adjoining rooms and party their asses off before and after or whatever the show, if they had a day off. That's what they were notorious for. Heard it myself from the band itself. That's what they used to do. And if you watch the one home video that Dokken did years ago, you see Don, they're filming him coming down the hall. He goes into a room and they're all in there. But they, I think at that point in time, because George and Don had such a toxic relationship, like they had separate room parties. So like George would be in one, Don would be in the other. But no, they partied. But the band that I think gets the award, and they had videos out, and I'm sure everybody has seen it, which is Pantera. They have got some kind of an archive with videos. I can only imagine the videos that they have that they can't show us, because there's got to be a whole library of shit like that. And just the stuff that we were able to see and how they lived and how they partied when they weren't on the road was just nuts. I mean, they destroyed stuff. And the thing too was Vinny and Dime, they lived like we live. They had all the money that they needed, and they had all the money in the world. They lived in nice homes, but they didn't live like the house was like in order. I mean, like Dime used to have like Christmas lights hanging up all year around in his house that did all these, fancy like blink, and like they would, do like this whole chase scene and everything. And if somebody gave him something, he broke out the drill and just drill it into the wall. Same thing with Vinny. I did read a story about when they demolished his house in Arlington, just not too far from Dallas-Fort Worth International. The house was condemned because they had to knock it down because it was just inhabitable. And I'm thinking to myself, here's a guy that's got all the fucking money in the world, and like, they had to demolish the house because of inhabitable. I mean, like, what the hell went on? But I did see pictures after the whole house was cleaned out. And let me tell you something, man, you can tell that house was worn and torn. I know he had a house in Vegas. Same thing, they did a video out there. He had this badass air hockey table. He was a big hockey guy. Vinny loved hockey, and he was a great air hockey player. So he had one in his house out in Vegas, and he had one in Dallas. I don't know how bad the house was in Vegas, but the house in Dallas, they just, the guy who bought the property, obviously knew he couldn't do anything with the house, so he ended up demolishing it. If it was up to me, and again, I might have said this in my past show, what they should have done was the house and made it into a museum. I thought that would have been a really cool tribute. They could have put all of his drums, all Pantera, Hell Yeah memorabilia, Damage Plan, and all that. It would have been something cool, and it would have generated money, and then either the family could have divvied up the money, or the money could have went to some kind of a charity organization or something like that. But they were the kings of party. I mean, the alcohol that was consumed, the weed that was smoked, the titties that were showed. And you got to remember too, Vinny had that strip club, the clubhouse. He had it all, you know, but they win the award for, I think, the best party and band on the road and off the road, as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure a lot of other bands had a lot of good times, and there's some memories, and there's probably some videos floating around or whatever. So, but hey, that's all that I got. Hey, again, happy Friday to everybody. If you live on the East Coast, they say by Sunday, we're going to be back to normal, nice, calm, cool weather. So we just got to ride this one out today and half of tomorrow. Then we're supposed to get some rain. But anyway, whatever. Play the music, keep it loud, keep it real. Horns up, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to everybody soon. All right, take care. See ya.